manager, I'm already a little over 50,000.
That's good. That's good. And then what do
So-
they do with the others? Like MSW or a
They
license?
They make a really pretty good penny. The
70, 89.
mm, I want to say it's close. It's between 70 and 80 starting out.
That's good.
But
So-
because I'm already there, I experience it more.
Right.
The only issue is with our clients, we bill insurance, so we're fee for service. So like I'm not
I
hourly.
see. Right.
So
Okay.
my fear is as a therapist, if my client cancels, I miss that hour.
We have that right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. That's my at Lighthouse they would pay us 45 per billable hour. So you're right. If you saw 30 clients a week, or do you try to see 40 billable hours? That would be a lot. A lot of
Yeah.
them would expect. Lighthouse said 25 billable hours, which is still right at, they're always bumping against what's too much to do.
Mm-hmm.
So productivity becomes those ethical
Yeah.
concerns. Are you giving your clients the proper care? Because we're all distracted. We all got our cell phones. We do other shit while we're seeing people. And if I'm not giving my client full quality care, that's where there's the gray area of ethics. On device all the time, like eventually they let you go, or like you get in trouble for it. So it's tricky.
Yeah.
And that's why I was starting with ethical and legal issues. Also the notes, so like what it would look like to do
Yeah.
like a progress note.
Let me call your-
We got referrals.
Everything okay?
We've got
All right.
your progress note. And this is kind of what we're leading you guys up to. So the first group you observe, when we bill for a group, very similar across the board. So if you're doing case management, they pay the agencies about $85 to $95 an hour. And then as a case manager, it depends on who you're with. They could pay you $25 or $35 an hour. So if you billed for 20 clients a week, that could be a good, whatever 20 times 25 is. Anybody good at math in here? What do they pay per client? As a case manager, is it per client?
Mm-hmm.
So the same thing?
Well, if you're fee for service, it is.
Okay. And it's like 25 an hour?
I'm at 25 an hour, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So if you saw 25 clients, it would be $525 a week or $2,000 a month. Does that even sound right? Am I doing that right? 25 times 25? Hello, welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, so the way mine's is set up, I have, right now I have 21 clients,
Okay.
and I either see or speak with each client 2 to 3 times a week.
Okay.
So every time I'm
8-minute phone call is 15-minute billable, right?
Ours is 8.
8.
Anything over 8 minutes.
And then
is
it-
billable.
And then 23 minutes you bill for 30.
Yep,
And then 38 minutes you bill for 45.
Yep.
That's how Medicare and Medicaid pay out. And if you do a 53-minute phone call or session, it's an hour billable.
yep.
Okay.
And so all of my clients are hour, 2.5.
Okay.
Depending on what I'm doing. Usually my resources are hour and a half.
Okay.
And just my general conversations are about an hour.
So then with 21 clients, you could actually have 33 billables,
Mm-hmm.
$660 a week.
I usually bill, so it's bi-weekly, so I'm usually at about 120 hours.
And then that would be 2,400 for 2 weeks. And then 5,000 for the month. Okay.
That's just the case manager.
Right. Yeah.
So
Because I
that's my
know.
dilemma. Like, do I leave that?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? To
Absolutely.
do something else.
Therapize somebody
to
where they
do-
cancel all the time.
Yeah, because clients aren't consistent.
I just
So
had
as a
one
case
cancel
manager-
now.
Yeah, my case manager, if you don't answer, guess what? I'm just gonna call Angel. All right,
No, I
cool.
know. Right. Oh,
I'm
I've
gonna call her
done.
so I can fill in that time.
I
You
did-
can't do that as a therapist.
I did case management for years, and I would do both. So the ideal is at Lighthouse, where they will pay you for productivity, and they don't really differentiate if it is case management or therapy. I know they get
Oh.
95 an hour for therapy, so they do get more, but they would get 85 an hour for case management. It's not far off.
No, that's not far.
You know what I mean? So like at Lighthouse, I often had them cancel. And then when I became supervisor, they usually said do 10 billable hours and supervise.
Mm-hmm.
Most of my stuff came from case management.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, they might have made of those 10 hours, it would have been $99 less. Yes.
I have a question. So like, why do you want to leave?
Because I do want to be a therapist.
And you do get paid more. So like at Lighthouse with an independent license, you would get 45 per billable hour. And there are some dudes that would pull off 30 billable hours a week. So it's a lot, like 30 times
Yeah.
45.
So I can make more as a therapist with the company that I'm with. The downfall is the
If they
turnover
cancel.
rate for therapists is so high because clients are consistent. So then they're not making a paycheck, or they're working 2 jobs, or you know what I'm saying. So like, but that's just what my company. Yeah, that's just what my company, because it's not an hourly. How can I explain it? It's not like I clock in and clock out from 8 to 5.
If they cancel on you, you don't get paid.
Yeah.
It sucks.
I can't-
Like my
I'm
dude
not
just
built-
canceled on me at 3.
Yeah, I built it, but a lot of companies are doing that now.
It's a
because
lot of
they're
companies.
They're actually saving money.
Right.
My friend is a therapist though at a residential, but she gets paid salary and she gets paid about $90,000 a year.
Yeah, so it just depends
So it
on where
depends on
you
where
do
you
it.
work. So when you work like someplace where it's residential and it's inpatient, she works at Osterland. Have you heard of that?
What is residential?
You live.
They live at the place.
Yeah, they live
Yeah,
there.
so
Almost like a hospital kind of.
So DYS.
So they always do.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
That's a good one to have because they're always there.
Yeah, so that's good. The only thing for that is I don't ever want to be salary because
Right.
you want me to do so much regardless to whatever, and I'm only making the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So I never,
Like, no, 5.
yeah, like salary for me is not the goal.
Some structure
This
it
is her
though.
second year, so she's young. She's like y'all, but she's 23.
Oh, okay.
Some structure it.
So that's great.
Like if you bill more than 20 a week,
Mhm.
they would give you the bonuses.
Yeah,
I remember Claremont Recovery Center did that with us. So we would make our money back. And then if you billed 23 hours a week or 25, they would definitely pay out. So that was helpful.
yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of paperwork that goes like, and this class is specifically on groups. When you guys start a group, there's a few things they do. One of them is like even a pre-screen interview. So with Girl Circle, which I'm trying to share with you guys, is a way to lead your group. We would have what we called a pre-screen interview. So a lot of times we'd ask, have you ever been in any type of Girl Circle before? If so, explain what do you want to get out of Girl Circle? How do you deal with your own stress and or anger? What are your strengths? Like, what do you do? What do you like about yourself? And what are your weaknesses? What would you like to improve? Just to kind of pre-screen. So what we're looking for is the willingness so they don't cancel. A lot of times we want somebody that like really wants to be in the group and they don't cancel. And if they don't want to be there, it's okay. Maybe they'll be ready next semester. They would run the group like every quarter. And there's some like their therapist would push for them to go into this. Like, we want you to go into this group, but the client wasn't ready. They're like, I don't want to go into a group. I don't have the mental capacity. I'm still dealing with my own trauma. They'll even ask things like, what are your contributions? What contributions could you make? What does confidentiality mean to you? Is that something we'll get into after this PowerPoint about how same deal goes for the therapist. Everything shared is confidential, but if the clients share that they are harm to self or harm to others, we have that duty to report. And the other clients might not keep it confidential, and they're not bound by a license like we are. So you want to ask them, like, what does confidentiality mean? Are they going to go gossip the other girl's stuff when they get out of the group as they're all in school together? What do you view, or how do you view authority figures in general? Have you ever been in a fight with a peer? Because sometimes that would come up at Lighthouse. I don't know if you guys ever dealt with fights, but it happens. So
What is Lighthouse? Is it residential person?
Lighthouse has both. There's 19 different programs. One is residential. One is in the jail, like with Department of Youth Services. A lot of outpatient. That's what I did. I would do home visits, and that's why I say, and school visits. So I could bill case management. And what I try to do is often, it's harder in the summer, but during the school year, you'd set up 4 different schools you would go to at 9, 10, 11, and 12. And if you only had to bill 4 hours a day, which is average, you're done with your visits before school's out, write your notes while you're eating lunch, and you're done at 1 or 2 o'clock, which is nice. That's how we used to do it. I know things are changing with inflation and how they reimburse folks. But also, what is your favorite thing to do with friends? You know, like we would pre-screen them and have all of these questions asked. So those are some. Here's what a note often looks like at every agency you guys might work at. You'll have client's name, you'll have admission date, discharge date, and you kind of go through what they did in the group. And if you have 10 girls in the group, the stuff that was planned is usually the same. And they try to make it like check boxes where you can click. But that's how this gets submitted to Medicaid, and then we get paid, and then, or the agency gets paid, then we get paid. And they often, do you guys still have productivity? Anybody here worked with productivity yet?
Yeah.
How does it work for you, and what do you think about it?
I don't like it.
Right. A lot of people know. It's very common.
I don't like it for several reasons, but I think the main reason is because you can't base my productivity off of somebody else.
Right.
Because that doesn't mean that I'm not doing my job if they're not clients.
Right.
So I don't like that aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
However, I do, on the flip side, feel that it holds people accountable to make sure that they are reaching out to their clients.
Right. Yeah, because we would see both sides of it at Lighthouse too, where like sometimes people wouldn't make their productivity. Sometimes people would be challenged by productivity. So I understand both sides of it.
And I agree with Sherelle. I work with productivity specifically. Like you will have some case managers that do not like know how to communicate properly. And I think that's like a hard thing to be taught. Like, for instance, like if you have to, for instance, if I'm supposed to set up like a work site for a client and I email everybody, like if I email a mechanics, like they're working on cars, you have to go out and like they don't do their job fully. They'll just put, I emailed like a work site. Like you have to do more. So I think it keeps people accountable. But I don't like to be micromanaged too. So
right.
And it's really subjective.
Right. Yeah. It's something we always worked with. And it's funny is you'll see some people that are great at productivity, but then they don't keep up on their notes, or somebody who's awesome at their notes, but they don't meet productivity. So they'll write a perfect note. It won't get rejected by our system, but they only see 19 people a week. So they'd fall just short and have to get warned, things of that nature. Or if, where the ethics come in is if you're worried about being a few hours short of your productivity and you put in a note and you didn't see your client. So like basically Medicaid fraud is what we were taught. And why to write in. If it was 8 minutes, it was 8 minutes. And we bill for that specifically. And that's the scary thing, because sometimes for me, that was 3 voicemails at like 3 minutes long. So I could make sure to bill. Otherwise, you've got non-billable notes. And that's, I feel like, a hard waste of time. So this week we just cover legal, ethical, and multicultural issues in group. So just having you guys to identify key legal and ethical considerations for the group. And that the format for this class is to observe a group first. Second one is actually leading a group. And then the third one is a write-up of the creation of your own group. And yes.
Are these real groups or are we making them groups ourselves?
You can do either way. I do have this that I will share with all of you. It's called Relationship with Peers Group, and it actually teaches you start to finish how to run a group. Groups are 8 to 10 week long for an hour a week. That way you can do like either 3 or 4 quarters of a group, maybe take summers off because they correlate with the school year for whatever reason, like especially groups with teenagers and adolescents. Also a lot of addictions groups, and 8 to 10 weeks is very common. And that's just to keep it within either 2 months or 2.5 months. And I'll be sending this group exactly what you would do to lead a group. That would be icebreakers, resources. Sure, yeah.
Where do we get the people from? Are we the?
We're all here. We are the people. So we're all going to lead a group, and there's 10 of us. There's 10 weeks here, so you all could pick a different week. If you have some of your own stuff and you want to use it from your agency or another group, that's okay too. Last semester I had somebody lead a grief group because she had worked more with hospice. That was a good one. There's a lot. Trauma groups are big lately because people get certified in trauma-informed care. The Girls Circle or Boys Council. I wish I had the Boys Council one because it's similar to this though. So this is a whole facilitator manual. They sell these things for a lot of money. It's crazy. Because people do make, so that $95 an hour that they make for counseling somebody one-on-one, with a group, it's like $33 an hour. So if you had a few people in that group, it's $100 an hour. I know at both Talbert House and even Lighthouse, if you only had 2 people there, they'd actually have you write a note for the first half hour of case management and then the second half hour of case management, because you would get 85 for that hour. If it was a group and you only had 2 people, you would get 33. But half of 85 and another half of 85 adds up to 85. So you got more as a case manager. But with the group, it's usually 3 or more. You could run a group with 2 clients. Ideally, you want 3 or 4. At Talbert House, you'll see groups that are 1,000 people. So guess how much if you're making $33 an hour for 1,000 people? I think it's $33,000 for that 1 hour group, if I'm doing it right. And that's why agencies like groups. It makes so much more money, especially with the DUIs, addictions, things where they just have, a lot of stuff to check the box for the court system. Like, yeah, I completed my DUI group. I completed my intensive outpatient. There's several things they have you do. I still prefer one-on-one myself. I have led groups in many different agency scenarios. So yeah, before you guys lead your group, which will be more February and March, because you observe the group for this month. It's not due until February 1st. And the write-up's at the end of the syllabus. So you observe, yeah, go ahead.
So with the group observation, would that just be us coming to class and us talking about it?
It does say that in the syllabus. I actually just have you guys write it up. And then, yeah, we will talk about it, like how it was.
Why would we talk about it in class for the assignment?
You said, why do we talk about it?
No, write it, like right when we're talking about it in class for the assignment.
Right, so you will do a type up at the end. I'll show you here. And then talk about your experience in class. So we can all share. If you all observe a mental health group, here's the list of questions. At the very end of the the syllabus is the assignment. And it is probably at halfway through. So it's called group assessment. And so you'll just name your group if it was an Al-Anon Family Groups meeting or an Alcoholics Anonymous. We opened that up during the pandemic because we needed desperately online groups. If you have one at your agency, that's awesome. Or if you get agency's permission to see a mental health group, that's great, because that's really what we're learning how to do so that it applies to every mental health disorder, not just addiction. Some folks do the same work and they only have an addictions license. With your social work license, you can see everybody. Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't go over it yet, but I plan to, and I might come up with more questions.
Sure.
Just from the gist, I'll go, and I find a group,
Mhm.
and I forgot what it's called.
Observe
I
it.
look at observe.
Right. You sit there and
How
experience
many
it
times do I go? Like,
once.
oh, just one.
You can go more
Okay,
if you
like
want.
weeks. Okay.
Right. You can go more if you want.
Go to a real group.
Yes.
Find our own group and we go.
Well, and you can find a bunch of open meetings on aa.org and alanon.org.
I thought we were the
That's
When you
that's-
lead a group, yes.
That's when we
Yes.
lead a group. That's
When
when
we're leading
So
them.
for this, I find the group.
Right. For this one, I would jump on either, and it has to be an open meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. Just go to aa.org. Or if there's a place you want to intern at. Oh, it makes me sign in for internet, doesn't it? So yes, first major assignment, observing a group. That can be in person or online, ideally in person, because we're social workers. Like, we want to learn how to get this in person thing. I know we all have devices now that distract us all day long, and I understand. I get it. When I'm the social worker, I do have to be as fully present as I can. Like, I do want to respond to a lot of things going on, but like, I'm paid to be there with the folks. So there are in-person meetings on aa.org, and there is also online. So you can choose. And I opened that fun can of worms during the pandemic because there was no like in-person in 2020 and 2021. So I understand. There's also alanon.org. So just make sure it's an open meeting. A closed meeting does mean you identify as a recovering alcoholic. So it's closed off. A closed meeting, right? And then alanon.org. This is
why he's pulling up that up. I've done this before. We had to do it at Clark State. I think going to an in-person group, it gives you really good insight. And
it does.
Because it was my first time, like, I was just like, yeah, like, what I gotta do. So my class just all found together and we all went.
That is a good way to do
Like, we
it.
all went because
Yeah.
we still had our own different perspectives. And
Yeah.
Our papers were different,
Right.
but we were all able to go and support each other.
Yeah. Some people do that mainly for like the ride share, or if you want to see too, do one in person and online and say what you think about it. Because as much as we want to opinionate about the 12 steps or Alcoholics Anonymous, it still works for a lot of people. It's not perfect. It fails some people too, but they might not be ready. They say it's one of the largest contributions the West has given to the whole world because it started in Ohio. That's what's crazy about it. Alcoholics Anonymous started in June of 1935 in Akron, Ohio. What's that?
I said in Ohio. Wow.
Started in Akron, Ohio, and it's global now in every language. So if you want to find one online at midnight, because you were like me in undergrad and you do your assignments last minute at midnight, you can. You can find a meeting at midnight because they've got all time zones. You'll probably be in a California meeting that's at 9 p.m. or a Hawaii meeting that's 6 hours behind us. But there's meetings year round, and Cincinnati alone has 700 meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous every week. 700 different meetings. So it's like 100 a day. It's crazy. And then online is even more. So there's both Alcoholics Anonymous is for if you're recovering from alcohol. Al-Anon family groups is if you have a friend or family member that suffers with addiction or alcoholism. And it's the same 12-step recovery method. So they come close to being a mental health group. It's just different because I remember in case management, they specifically told me I cannot bring somebody to an AA meeting and bill for it. I was like, whoa, wait, what? Like, yeah, you can charge for the time you talk before the meeting. And then if you pick them up and drive them after, but that group is that group. So you can't, that blew my mind. I'm like, what? Why not? And I was a little offended at first. So I'm like, it's connecting them with something important, but it's because the group is doing the work. I'm not doing the work. I could show up and just zone out on my phone and then bill $85 to Medicaid. So I get that. But it pissed me off at first when they're like, you can't bill for that time in the AA meeting. So a lot of times I just drive one there and then I go see somebody else close by and then pick them up at the end. Depends on how you do your case management. And I still do it more through hospice now. But so those are your two options if you wanted to find AA.org or Al-Anon. And a lot of times it'll just be like, find a meeting like that. And you can find a Zoom room. The online ones are weird is you'll have people that still call what people call a Zoom bombing it. You ever heard of Zoom bombing? Anybody here? Have you?
Where a bunch of bots come in.
It's either that or somebody getting on and acting a fool.
We'll call it trolling.
Right. Yeah. Share a screen. It has pornography going on. Just whatever they're doing to disrupt the meeting. It's kind of weird and messed up, but it's easier to do as you're also like hiding behind a screen. So it happens more often than somebody in person. It can still happen in person. It just happens less often in person because behind the screen, you can kind of hide out and cloak yourself and be, I don't know, I'm thinking like the Joker from Batman or something, you know, just like cause more mayhem. So it does happen, and that's what I'll warn you about. It's terrible when it does happen, but it does happen. So they try to go there, they'll get them out fast. You know, like somebody running the group. Have you seen it before? Have you heard about this?
Yeah, but it was in a worse situation though. It was like a court. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and they be on there trying to cut up. Yeah, and they changed it now. Like, I don't even do court Zooms no more because of that for real.
They're court Zooms?
Yeah, they call it bond courts.
Really?
Yeah, I be watching them. I'm weird.
I didn't know they had those.
I got a thing for like, I don't know why the stuff with the police, I guess.
Right, but did they do that because it was the pandemic? So
Yeah, they was doing it for that case, right? And then they started getting a little serious that the people that was at home, like their backgrounds was reckless. People was like flipping their camera, you know, their camera was flipped and they was seeing stuff people house, like all type of stuff. But they did have people like monitoring you, so like they'll cut their camera off, but like they're just in their whole court thing, like they just go to the next case. Yeah.
Really?
I don't know what they was doing by going to the next case, but yeah.
Right.
Like if there's too much ruckus in the background and the judge say something, they was like just mute the phone, and then if they get to acting up like that, like oh, we just go to the next case.
Interesting. Okay. The same thing's kind of going on with that, where people just, for whatever reason, want to cause a bit of mayhem.
I feel like this is crazy.
Yeah.
You telling me that I can go find a meeting and I can just watch it on Zoom is kind of crazy. And
Right.
I can be in there like my own Zoom user too. Yeah, because I know people just be ignorant as hell, like
Just to mess around.
just doing stuff.
Right.
No
Yeah.
purpose to it, no incentive, just doing stuff.
And then that even gets into the addiction model of recovery. Like, do you have the commitment to want to get sober in the first place? Or are you just court ordered and like, I'm going so I get off probation? And I
Right.
get both sides of it. I've seen both sides of it with clients and friends and family. So as you see here, this is not due till February. Oh, but that's like 8 days away. So
I'm gonna do it today.
damn. Okay. So, and it's just a page and a half. So like name of the group, purpose of the group, you can use good language from the book or PowerPoints, you know, showing that you know more. In grad school, they'll dip into it even more in depth. If it's a mental health group, either way too, like the name, credentials, characteristics of the leader, setting, it could be a Zoom room. I still do think in person's better. You can try both and see what you think for yourself. Do you believe the setting should or detracted from the primary purpose? Now, if you get Zoom bombed, you can be like it detracted because a lot of people left after some idiot jumped on and ruined it for everybody. That doesn't happen as much in person. It still does, but it's just seriously a lot less often. What's that? It's okay. I didn't realize is that next week? So 8 days away.
Yes.
That is close.
Okay. Well, we'll keep up to date on it. Obviously, there's 3 major assignments, so we still can do it like February, January and February for this one, February and March for the next one, and then March and April for the final paper is large. Yes.
Do you know if they have any groups like that on campus?
AA groups
Or like
or a mental health group.
either or?
I would love if they did.
You don't?
Like Dr. Hunt.
Right, I was gonna say you probably had to ask me time, but I'm quite sure they don't go to like the extended groups.
I know. I wonder because a lot of agencies love them. Who is it? Yeah. Yeah. National Association of Mental Illness. Is that what it stands for?
Me neither, I don't know either.
NAMI, okay.
I had-
And that, again, that's why I do open it up to the Zoom rooms and like being able to see that, because I understand the challenges with transportation, with the ability to get out there. So, pandemic made us be flexible. I had to become flexible. Next one is, what affected the communication patterns you observe have on the group? The attraction, did the group members want to be in the group? So this is an interesting one, as it can go both ways. If they're court ordered, a lot of them don't want to be there, like they're like, unless if they've been court ordered like their second, third, fourth, fifth time, like, all right, I don't want to get court ordered again. I do want to be here. An attraction was high because, they were court ordered and you get off probation if you do all this stuff. Provide descriptive evidence that supports your claim. Do you feel positive about the group during the session you attended? I love mental health groups also because sometimes they do get into topics that even help us with learning diagnosis as a clinician, learning, sharing different things that are working for their either bipolar, depression, addiction, or another mental health diagnosis. Last question was, what do you believe contributed to the attraction of that group? Then you got group cohesion. Sometimes at the beginning, it's low because they just all started out. By like week 8, 9, and 10, people feel like a group, like they're cohesive. How strongly identified were the group members? Was attraction high or low? And you may see somebody 10 years sober if you view the AA meeting and they're like loving it, loving working with new folks, taking them through the steps, getting them onto their like amends list, which is part of the language in AA. Then observed normative behavior, normative ideas, style of leadership in the group. And then the last half a page on this. So like content relevancy, maybe they're talking about the first step. That comes up a lot. There's also, when did Facebook start texting you about you got a message in Facebook? Like, how do I turn that crap off? Like, I don't care. Is that what it is? It just started again. I'm like, I don't care. I used to, I guess, but I don't know. Is that, I got a text message about a DM or, whatever the DM. You always hope text messages are saved for emergencies, but nah. So degree of structure, task maintenance functions observed, like things that they did, maybe it is even just passing the basket and like how do they pay the rent for the room is a big thing in Alcoholics Anonymous, is that they're self-supporting, which is their 7th tradition, which means they collect all their own money. They won't take like a free house or free space. They want to be self-supporting, so they pass a basket to put $1 or $2 in if you pay for coffee or you pay for the electricity or you pay for the room rental. How the leader managed the intergroup development. Like if there is a bomber, how do they take care of it? They get them out of there. If they're in person and somebody starts acting a fool, what do you do? Because a lot of ways it could go for sure. Estimated stage of group development, and then group culture observed. So that is your sheet. See ya.
I'm not leaving.
So, any questions? I wanted to get through that. But yeah, make sure to sign the page. Just flip it over if that's. Yeah, I just use my leftover timesheets from hospice for that. You could flip it over. Oh, well, that way's fine too. Or do it on the other side, whichever way you want. It's fine either way. That way, because at hospice, a lot of times, so what do I do or what do most social workers do? Because I'm a clinical supervisor. I'm helping them get their clinical hours. And that's Friday from 9 to 11:30. And every week, once a month, a weekend, I'm on a call. So if somebody's dying, they got nobody to sit with them. I don't even have a pen either. I never have a pen. So I'll sit with somebody who might not have family to sit with them while they're dying. And it happens more often than you think. It's sad. Like they got nobody sitting with them. For real.
Do they want to ask them to get paid to do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it like depressing?
It's kind of like a spiritual approach where like maybe you're helping be together with them, but sit 8 hours, you're bound to pray with them for them, however. But a lot like they're not talking, they're like mouth breathing and maybe pretty much. And then you write a note every hour, how many times did they breathe? Did the nurse come in and give them meds? Did they get pain meds? And when I started, it was 25 hours. They asked me to clinically supervise when they saw I had an LISWS. I didn't want to, as I just have no extra time in the day. But for that, they usually have me put on the time. Is that the timesheet? They have me do 9 to 12 every Friday to supervise them for 2 hours. So they count driving for that too. Some people bill to be a clinical supervisor at 50 to 100 an hour. It's crazy. And I feel like it's our obligation as social work supervisors to get people independently licensed. So people take different opinions and approach to it. But you could just do straight up clinical supervision for like 50 to 100 an hour whenever you get your LISWS. Everybody has a different approach to it though. So
You see my dilemma here?
You should
Conversation.
print those papers out for us.
what's the what?
You should print those papers out for us.
These? I'll send them to you. I don't know about printing.
No.
these.
The one that we gotta do for the groups.
I was in the syllabus.
But
No, I want to print out too, please.
You see?
Right.
Trying to get print out.
But you're going to want to hand write it. I mean, I'm sorry, not hand write. You're going to want to type it in, yes.
But I want to see when I go
I didn't
into
write
the
out
class. If
Oh,
I don't
you
have
gotta
access
write
to
next to it.
Wi-Fi, I want to just
I get it.
Cause you didn't already
Pretty
print
with ice cream on top.
So I gotta write it
Do you mind if I eat?
You can eat. You can always eat. No, here, take a picture. Take a picture of it. Ready?
Oh, I can take a picture already on my phone. Can you please print it? Oh, don't you guys
I don't-
got?
I don't think I've printed in since the pandemic.
That's not even. You know how many classes you done taught since the pandemic?
I'll print it out for us at work.
You see, he coming. He use time sheets.
I know, right? I
You
feel
ain't no
like
good, man. You ain't no good.
You want to print it out?
Yeah.
Let me see if I
Just so I
can.
can see it with my own visual while I'm
I get
watching
it. I get it.
Because if I gotta type it in, that ain't gonna go right.
I'm gonna print mine.
Well, a lot of people, they just go like this. They paste it like that, and then they paste it into Word.
Yeah, and then do it. But look, Charles, you know how like when you got two things going on your computer at one
Oh,
time?
I got to do it every day.
Like, no, see, I really had a paper right here.
I know. I know.
You know, my attention span is like this.
Well, I know.
Your attention span is like this.
I don't think it is.
See, look,
I still think mine's getting worse. Mine's getting worse.
it's technology. man.
But this is the shitty shit we gotta do as social workers. It sucks.
I wish I was born back in
I
the day.
know. It's just that it is learning how to super focus, get through the whole hour focused, and get paid for it. Because it is the. I'll use something other than shitty shit we have to do as a social work, but like the crappy crap. It's like multitasking, writing notes, submission of billing. At Lighthouse, they wouldn't pay us till we wrote up our like
It'll
that.
take me forever.
They won't pay us till it's written up. So I'll tell you how quick I made my attention span go from this to like that to get paid, because it was $45 for every hour note I wrote.
Whoa.
And I try to write the note.
That's the worst thing about the job. is notes.
And here's
The worst part of the job.
anybody ever heard of or been trained in
Depends on how- nope. They have-
collaborative documentation?
But it's not like a paper that you gotta fill out every time for questions.
I'll show you it.
It just depends on your client. So if you have a client in a crisis,
It's really individualized.
you have to detail that note to specify everything in that crisis. But you're doing it from.
I misspelled it, damn it.
At least my note, like I have to put what I did, and then I.
That's
have
what I'm
to put
saying.
their
This is the-
response to what I did.
So Charles, we're not doing that,
Nah,
we're not doing, why tell you two?
No, so I don't transport.
There it is.
I visit my clients at their home, I visit them at the library, like I'll visit them somewhere if need be, but I don't transport anybody.
I do. Transport people.
I actually do, and that was kind of my moneymaker, but you can't write
So I used
that
to,
you transported them.
yeah, I used to transport,
Right.
but my clients that I've had all my clients for like a year and a half or more.
I usually pick.
So
Right.
they're all independent now.
Okay.
So if they wasn't driving, they drive and they got their license, they got their own car, or if it's a situation where they can't drive, they got bus passes, they utilize other transportation. Because at the end of the day, my car that I paid no for, I'm not about to let you drive it crazy. Like that's my
The
fault.
mileage they give you is only about 60 some cents a mile.
We don't
until-
get mileage.
67 cents.
Right.
Yeah,
So I don't mind it, but to run a car, they're saying it's $1 a mile. It's
right.
like-
They need to match it.
Right.
What is-
That doesn't
You-
make no sense that they don't match it.
Have you heard of this? You need a pen again?
No, what's your new YouTube channel name? What?
It's still Dr. Trouth at
I know
Central
we have
State.
several, that's why it's confusing.
It's still Dr. Trouth at Central State.
You need
So
to,
say you live in-
can you please erase the other ones?
I work.
Right.
Well, somebody says something dumb and they turn off my channel. I swear, that's what happens. That's why I have other channels. You say anything
But my
about,
dilemma is no bus goes out.
I had to put it in my favorites.
You got to do my favorites. You don't be going live no more. I can't be on
You work
the
for
channel
Progressive,
anymore.
right? So on my calendar, every Tuesday from 9:30, I'm putting your name down. So I'm saying, okay, well, that's cool. We're gonna work on that. I'll pick you up. I'll take you to class. I'll drop you off at Central. I'll be back, pick you up at 12, and I'll take you. I do that in the beginning for my clients, but best believe we figuring out a plan
For you to become.
to get you transportation to and from school at some point. May not happen in a month, may not happen in 2, but guaranteed by 4 months. You go.
I drove somebody for 2 months once.
Never.
And I'd actually build therapy during that because I would, meet with him face to face on the drive in traffic. One last thing they would teach us though about writing the notes and multitasking and getting my attention span up is the last 7 minutes of that session. I would write the note up with my client. They call it a collaborative documentation. So they found it to be okay. And that way I used to wait till Friday at 4 p.m. to write all my notes. Well, you got 20 notes, like it's hard. You got to have notes for your notes. You like hand write a note and then you type it in. But with collaborative documentation, which I could share this if you wanted. This is something we were trained on at Lighthouse, and they said you're writing the note. It is billable. That time is billable, and you'd write it with the client to say, what are the goals? What do we go over on your goal? What do we still have to do with your goal? And they say, here's benefits of collaborative documentation. Like it improves client engagement. It helps focus your clinical work and change outcomes. And this was like a big deal when they let us do this.
These are my notes. So this is what I did. This is their response. So I always put the date. What I did, yep.
And you don't get paid till you submit it, right?
Yep.
Is it the same at every agency? That's how Lighthouse
Yep.
did it.
So I have a Word doc. I have a running Word doc for each client.
Okay.
They all have their own file. So
Yeah.
I go in and I put my note in a Word doc, then I just copy and paste it into the system.
It looks like this. Does it have the boxes and
Oh,
stuff?
no.
Okay.
I type all of mine by hand. I don't have any of that.
So maybe even like this. Like this would be a group note where we led that group. I can't believe it's been 14 years ago, but we led that group 14 years
This is
ago.
different client.
Those are how my notes look.
Right.
For job and family.
What I did,
Right.
They respond.
So, and then each client has their own
So,
individual
you know,
note.
who you-
Paste those into the billables.
I'm a shortcut person because I hate notes.
You have to have shortcuts or you will not succeed.
Every new client, this is what I do. I already know what I'm doing for every new client, so I have a template for my new client.
Oh, okay, like.
Yeah, because I already know what I'm gonna do. My existing clients, I'm doing one of these two. because you do the same thing.
Mark, you just see how many
Repeated
things I got open right now. Like that is the
Yeah.
hardest thing in the world is
Sick.
you got your notes, your PowerPoints, you've got, the
And
Word
every
documents.
Or Wednesday, that somebody took the food. Okay, that problem is solved, so Friday, so it's the on thing, so then like I have resources.
So any other
these are our
questions
resources.
for the first assignment?
Contact
So are
us.
you on per week or notes per day?
I'm making notes, I do a note every time I talk.
5 times a day, 5 or 10. It is.
So it's for every client, so
It
I
is.
talk to
That much
them.
notes in a week.
But that's how you get paid. Like if you're
So I
getting
talk to about 10 clients a day.
I don't ever want to work in casework.
right.
No,
Well, as you'll get your license, then you can therapize.
I'll go and be a
therapist, or I want to work at the hospital and be a working child. So,
But if
being
they're
a caseworker for
Sound like I'm shooting for the stars.
Hey,
I
Kia.
what you
want
want
to
to
work for juvenile.
I never thought about
I got
that.
We're
We're
at-
something like that.
I thought people
As a
like
caseworker.
online therapy stuff.
We'll see you guys Wednesday.
Or